Well, let's do this. Welcome to the Paranormal Entertainment Talk Show. I'm your host, Kevin, and as always,
Josh.
I'm Terry Lee.
Tonight is a very special episode. We have a few guests with us. Marcus.
Hello.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Just to
Sure.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, most people know me as a comedian. I was the runner-up on the 6th season of NBC's Last Comic Standing, and for the last 5 or so years since then, I've been constantly touring colleges, doing a lot of corporate stuff, and recently I've been producing and writing and I guess just creating my own paranormal series that we're hoping somebody sees someday.
I've watched a couple of those, and they are really good.
Oh,
They're fantastic. The last one I saw was you were in Price,
Yeah.
doing a little club there,
Yeah.
and I love the mix of comedy, little bits of comedy, and just how you mix the show, and it's not too heavy.
Yeah.
It's not like this serious, demon hunting ghost show.
I mean, that was kind of our idea. I mean, when the whole thing started, it was kind of, me and my wife have always been big paranormal fans. I mean, we watch all the shows. I've watched every one of them, UFO Hunters and Finding Bigfoot and all of these things, and I've always thought, this is all very interesting, but to me, like, as a believer in this type of stuff, I always wanted to see it. I mean, you would watch these shows and you go, okay, oh, show us more, and then it would just seem like, I thought, well, maybe I could go out and do that, but then if you're gonna go find Bigfoot, you gotta hike, and there's it's ticks, there's just a lot involved, and so out of all of the paranormal things, like I would watch ghost hunting shows and I would see people being able to walk around with equipment and have conversations with spirits, and I thought, well, if it's that easy, I would love to be able to have this type of experience, and so that's kind of what I did. And when I did that, I just kind of approached it from my personality, not being completely serious about it. Well, I mean, I'm serious about the process. I just don't take myself very seriously.
Yeah. So that answers one of my questions. I always ask most of my guests ask these questions. Was it a paranormal TV show or a movie that got you into ghost hunting, that really made you click and go, I can do that?
I mean, we watch Ghost Adventures, we watch stuff like that, and it was, and you watch that and you go, they're very good at what they do, but television, we were actually talking about this the other night, how television kind of takes the idea of it everything being scary. It's all very scary. Yeah. All of the experiences are scary. And it was more about, you'd watch them, and again, I love what they do, and I have the utmost respect for everybody, but as for me, it was never kind of, I just could never be that serious about it,
Yeah.
This orb it just sounds it's too serious for my personality.
It is.
And so when I did it, I just felt, well, if I get scared, then I get scared. If I say something and do something silly, then in the dark, in these scary situations, just let it ride, and instead of, writing these really kind of heavy-handed voiceovers for the show, we would kind of, instead of tell the story from such a scary standpoint, it would be more like a funny person telling a scary story.
But you know what I love about your new series is, I don't know, it's the traveling part of it. It's like two stories in one.
Right.
Like there's that one side of you that everybody knows,
Sure.
And then there's the ghost hunting side.
Mm-hmm.
So also in this studio, I'm assuming that these are your team members.
Yeah, Ben is my co-producer on Ghost Hopping. In fact, the entire series is basically these two dudes that you see. We kind of, we find the locations, and he shoots, and we sit back and look at all the evidence, find the story. We script it out, and we pre-cut everything, and then we have an editor who comes in and adds in our subtitles and things like that. But I mean, for right now, it's it's a labor of love between two dudes who dig what they do.
I have to say that the intro for the show, the theme of the intro is,
and you know what?
The graphics are absolutely amazing.
It's all local artists. Our first, our editor, a gentleman named David Adams, is an amazing graphic designer and editor, and he really comes in and we know how to tell the story, and he just comes in and is able to, really make the images pop. He's just a really great editor, and so we work with him a lot. And then our theme and our score is all written by a local musician named Derek Gailey, who wrote our theme specifically for us, and we've actually investigated him and his wife's house. He's got a very haunted house, so he actually makes very good haunted music.
So people can find this on YouTube.
Yeah, there's 2 episodes up there, and then a mini webisode that we did.
So where did you get the name Ghost Topping?
Well, the idea for the show, for people who are listening, is kind of the idea follows me around as a comedian, and I tour around, and I entertain people. It's my job. But in order to keep myself entertained, I find places to ghost hunt wherever I go. So, it's kind of like this idea that after a show, some people might go bar hopping. Well, we go ghost hopping, and for us, it's never really about the location. You notice a lot of shows are, tonight we're at this famous haunted place that is a place that carries with it a reputation, and we just kind of go, well, look, I'm fairly certain these things are everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I mean, I perform in Ogden in our first episode. In Ogden, the comedy club in Ogden, Wise Guys, is located on 25th Street. We all know that place has an amazing paranormal history. The biggest skeptic in Ogden knows that 25th Street is haunted.
The whole street.
The whole street.
Yeah.
And so we thought, if that's the case, great. Let's go do the show. Before the show, let's walk down the street, walk in and out of businesses, find if somebody says, yes, this place is haunted. And it was amazing where you'd go into one building and they would say, nope, we've never seen a thing, never heard a thing. I've been here at 2 a.m. and I've never heard a noise. And you'd go to the next building, one wall over, and they'd go, oh my gosh, our whole place, we got things that move around and pots and pans fly off the walls. And so it was really fascinating to see this kind of pattern. And then we located some good places, and that was kind of the idea, that we would hop from place to place, investigating these places that anybody could really go to. You know, it wasn't an asylum that you had to get special permission to be locked into, or a building that no one else was going to, a prison that no one else could go into. This is the sushi restaurant that you and your family can go have dinner at tomorrow. This is the comedy club that you laugh in, and and it's really kind of a cool thing to say. These things are everywhere, and that was kind of our approach to that. We would just kind of follow the stories and hop from place to place.
And
I laughed about that first episode when you're in that sushi restaurant. They go into all these deep, dark places, and I'm in this beautiful sushi restaurant.
And it was funny because out of the 3 locations we did in Ogden, we did 2 basements that had the old tunnel systems, and 2 deep, dark, scary, dusty basements, and they were pretty good. I mean, they were all right. They weren't terribly frightening. Nothing really happened, and then we get in this sushi restaurant and we have this full conversation and things going crazy, and it's just so funny because it really makes you think that you realize that these things are just everywhere, and that's what's so neat about it.
And I love the sub story. I'm sure that you've seen the show Ghost Mine.
I actually have not.
Ghost Mine, it's about a bunch of miners who claim haunting in this mine, so they bring up a couple of paranormal investigators to work beside them. Oh, cool. Just to say, okay, everything is cool, or, yeah, you need to get out. But it's that sub-story. It's that story within a story that I really enjoy. So that's really what I dig about your series. And, I hope to see a lot more.
Well, us too, really. I mean, we have. This is one of the cool things. A lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and they ask me, why do you still live in Utah? And it's just because I love this place. I have agents and stuff on coasts and things like that. But to me, in this business, I like to be, when I'm home, I like to be home. And I've grown up here. I'm rooted in the history of this place, and I've heard the stories. I know all of the legends, and I feel very, very rooted to this place. And I've also had quite I've been fortunate enough to have quite a successful career locally as well as nationally, and so I have the connections with people who have the cameras and people who understand to let it, who I am and will let me into locations, and a comedy club like Wise Guys with a guy like Keith Stubbs who has literally let me try out 1,000 different ideas. He's let me shoot in his clubs. He's let me investigate his basements, and he was just a wonderful person. And I don't think I would have had these kind of advantages, I would say, in LA or places like that.
On a side note, people that listening don't know, have you been to Trolley Square, which is downtown Salt Lake City? There is a Wise Guys club which you perform at. There was a shooting there. I believe it was 2007, where a lot of people were shot. Is that one of those places that you've been able to get into?
Well, how funny. This is really kind of...
Uh-oh.
Well, no, this is just one of those things where, like, we talked about it the other day, and I mean, we are very close to finishing our episode 3, which we will announce the title of. The title of episode 3 is called A Trolley Scare.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
So, I don't know how you... did, but we actually were able to film and spend the night in Trolley Square Mall as well as the old Green Street building. And one of the things we did was we made sure that we knew nothing about the shooting, and I didn't want to talk about it. We actually, in our episode, we do everything. We don't mention it at all. In fact, it wasn't even our intention to go in looking for that, because for those people who understand Trolley Square, that was an incident that happened, and it's something that's very fresh in people's minds. But people don't realize these buildings have been around for well over 100 years.
There's a lot of history
there
there.
is history there. They have resident spirits there that have been there for 85, 90 years. There are some very old structures there. That have housed a lot of people and a lot of, incidences that have happened over the years. And I really feel bad that Trolley Square is remembered for this, because it's such a cool place, and the energy there is so. I don't know. If you're in Salt Lake, go there, walk around the halls. You'll feel you'll feel it. I mean, it's weird in there. You can't go in that place and say it's not. It's very active, is what I like to say. And we had a very, very fun night.
I can't wait to see it, actually.
Yeah.
Well, besides the ghost hunting, you do have a comedy tour.
Mm-hmm. Is
there a place that people can go to check out your upcoming dates and locations? And
Well, there. What I do a lot, most of my job is colleges. So a lot of the shows that I do are not public. I mean, comedy clubs in and of themselves, I just haven't done a lot of them, So colleges is really what I focus on. So I would say most of the things that I've done so far have been when I performed here locally, just because, again, we're really rooted in the history of this place.
Right.
And so we've shot at a couple places, and we have a few upcoming shoots at places that, again, I have ties to personally, because I like to feel like I'm not just going to a place because of the location, but because I've spent time there. I've had, my own energy has been there and things like that. So that's really what we're focusing on as far as our shooting and touring schedule.
I try to pick up a little bit here and there from everywhere. I did pick up one of your traits, I guess you would call it. I started using the knock-knock joke.
Oh. Has it worked?
Not yet.
It hasn't worked.
I've only tried it twice, so
I was going to say, it sure didn't work Saturday night, did it?
I just don't know what I'm going to say if I get a who's there.
We got that. That's one of those things. What he's referencing is as a scene from episode 1 where we were in a comedy club, and I just thought, well, let's just try a knock-knock joke. And we say knock-knock, and we get out of our spirit box a who's there. And then we ask it to say the joke back to us, and we get a very loud and clear, like, knock. And it's so cool because you could go, wow, how scary, or you can go, no. If they wanted
This
to scare
dude wants
me,
to hear a
they
joke.
wouldn't do the joke. You know what I mean? They wouldn't. I guess that's how I figure it. You know, like if energies, right, ghosts or whatever, are just people without, like, the energy version of us, right? It's the same thing. You can walk up to a person, go, I get a good vibe from this person, I get a weird vibe from that person. You know, you can sense it. So I would approach it the same way and just kind of go, you want to talk to me? And if that person talks back to me, you know, that's somebody who wants to engage me. I would think that if somebody wanted me to leave, it'd be the same thing that a person would do. They'd go, yeah, I'm talking to you. Get out of my face.
Exactly.
Yeah, get out of here.
But they were doing jokes with us, and so it was really cool. That's what we want people to understand, is how cool those moments are.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, I think the other side does have a sense of humor. That's why there's so many, like, trickster ghosts, I guess you would call it, spirits.
My favorite moment from anything that we've ever done, still to this day, is one of the things that's kind of in the finale of episode 1, is when we're sitting in the sushi restaurant and we get a voice that comes through our spirit box, and it's clear as day, and you can hear it. It's not choppy or anything, and it comes through over quite a few sweeps, and this voice just comes through and goes, "How's the ghost hunt?" And I mean, when you hear that, our jaws hit the floor. It was just one of those things where, like, first of all, it was a very clear response, something that you don't even have to try and hear it. I mean, it's very clear. And then you start thinking, okay, well, all right, does it know that it's a ghost? Who's asking me that, and why are they asking? Are they curious? Are they honestly curious? Are they? And so all of those questions start cooking. But that was that one moment where I realized, yeah, they do have a sense of humor. They do have this playful, and they're very aware of what we're doing, and I like that.
So what else? Well, I guess, where did it start for you? Did you have experiences when you were young? Or was it just like a growing fascination from what you see on mainstream media, TV and movies, and just kind of go, man, you know, I could do that?
You know, I've always enjoyed the paranormal. I mean, even when I was a kid, I remember when I was in 6th grade, I did my final report on UFOs. Like, I was that kid. You know, I like Bigfoot. I've always believed. I've always... You know, I mean, me and my wife how many times have we watched the Patterson-Gimlin footage? I mean, you know, we've gone through, we love that stuff, you know, and it was kind of just the idea that, for me, growing up in the 80s, like, horror it used to be subtle, you know, it used to be mellow, it used to be, or at least knew what it was. And then it got to a point where horror was about, CG, and it was about over the top, and it was about blood and guts and gore, and you go, well, you know, it doesn't have to be. You can have that brilliance, and as I started getting older, I realized that I appreciated the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's subtlety versus its gore from, you know, 20 years later. And so I just thought, well, you know, that to me, that subtlety, that's what really is scary. And when that scare comes through, when that real, you know, and you go, oh, and then you laugh, I thought, that's it. I like to be scared, but people, and so does everybody else, and when they're done, they laugh. That's it. Let's take that scary element that I enjoy, and let's make it humorous, and let's just combine that. Let's just put peanut butter and chocolate together and make a delicious treat.
I love it too.
You know?
And I know where Kevin's going after the show.
Well, I'm trying to word this right. So you love horror.
Mm-hmm.
That is another one of my questions that I usually ask one of my guests. Is there a paranormal show or a horror movie that gave you nightmares when you were a kid?
Oh, my wife could answer this question. You know it without thinking about it. Yeah, Pet Sematary. She knows it. That movie, to this day, the sister, Zelda. Oh, I can't even say it. I can't even say it. And she was in the room. To this day, I every time I'm in a scary place, that is the image on the other side of the door is Zelda from Pet Sematary.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know why.
You are going to have to play with that. Work that. I want to see this.
Now we know some sound bites to play.
Right? No, but I would say Pet Sematary. I mean, there was a lot of movies that I'd watch. I watched a lot of the we were both both me and my wife into horror movies at a very young age. We both got to watch them. So I mean, it was just, but like I'm saying, like to me that was the genre. That's when they got it right. Now they're remaking those things, and every once in a while there's a hit. Like I dug Cabin in the Woods because I thought it was that dissection of why horror works, and that's kind of like why I like what we do. Yeah,
you know. There's a whole list of questions that I ask people, and
sure.
because you tour so much, and you do hit some of the places that other famous people have ventured into, if you were going to try to connect with any deceased celebrity, who would it be and why?
If I could connect with any, I would probably, gosh, I'd love to talk to a lot of people. Sinatra.
I've heard that one before.
Sinatra would be cool. Like, and I mean those ones. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. I really have to give kudos to that one Ghost Adventures episode where they went to Johnny Cash's house.
Oh yeah, that
and they
was
got
awesome.
that one that sounded. I mean, they compared it to his voice structure, and I mean that was cool. You know, I thought that's neat because that's a person. And I guess that's what you'd want to do is you'd want to get somebody who you knew it was their voice. And Sinatra had a real clear voice. And it'd be cool to know that he was still around. I mean, it'd be cool to know that a little piece of Sinatra lived on. That would be
and
amazing.
you're quite the vocal talent, too. You know, I've watched a couple of your comedy clips, and one of them is, you know, it's a bunch of vocal impressions, and they're really good.
Oh, thanks.
Who's your favorite to do?
In the show? Oh, gosh. Dave Matthews is a fun one, because I love his voice and I love singing his songs, and we do the show that you're talking about, that clip that I did. It's actually a promo reel from a TV appearance we did. The show that I do is with another comedian friend of mine. In fact, he was in our first episode, a guy named Guy Seidel, and he actually featured in every episode because He's
a talented guitar player.
And we work together. He tours with me. I'm very fortunate when I get to do shows with him because he's actually a headliner in his own right. He's in Vegas right now competing in the World Series of Comedy. He's a great guitarist, and that we both came from a musical background. And so we would go on the road together and talk music, and we'd play songs, and I'd sing and stuff. And being an impressionist, which was what kind of started my comedy career, it's hard to keep doing impressions because, like, on stage, there's only so many ways you can present them. You can go, "Hey, what if this guy was a this thing? You know, what if Al Pacino was a librarian, or what if this movie starred this?" There's only a few ways. There's some people who've figured it out. You know, guys like Jim Brewer and Kevin Pollak who know these people and go, "I was talking to this guy, and he says," and then they go into the impression.
Yeah.
Me, I wanted to find a new way to present them, so I thought, well, I guess singing impressions would be something I could do. So I kind of learned to sing like a bunch of different people in a bunch of different genres. And Guy figured out how to take something like 100 songs and combine them into medleys that we do in this musical impression show. And I think there's about 75, 80 different voices that we go through from every genre, from Sinatra to Korn to Jay-Z. I mean, we do everybody.
That's a lot of voices to have floating around in your head.
Gotta let them out once in a while.
I'm sure it gets crowded.
Yeah, so you not only hear those voices, but you
hear the
ghosts
other voices,
too.
right? I think we've tried different things. We've tried doing like comedy for Goat and doing It's fun. I mean, I just like approaching it from any angle, you know.
So how much of ghost hunting, that part, do you put into your shows?
Well, like with anything. I mean, when you're shooting, you shoot for a long time, and you know, we were talking about this too the other day about how if you really watched a ghost hunt, it would be boring. It would be 8 hours of people going, "Can you knock for me? Can you move something?
Turn on that
Try the spirit box
flashlight."
again." It's all right. You know, was that something? And so what you try to do, and this is one of the things that we've learned as a production team, is to go through, and me and Ben watch all of our footage, and then we start going, okay, well, you know, we have to get from A to B, but we have to get there in 6 minutes because we have to make 48 at the end, and this section can only... And so we just have to start thinking like editors and telling the story. So, I mean, we've tried a whole bunch of stuff. And every time we'd like to try something different, and every time we've had success with different methods. And so, like you said in episode 1, we got the knock knock, we got the who's there, and we've tried other comedy related stuff that hasn't worked. And so we thought, well, we could throw it in just for the sake of being funny, or we could just kind of get to the stuff that people want to see.
And, paranormal and mainstream media are married. Mm-hmm. I mean, the paranormal community would not be what it is today without those TV shows.
Right.
It's kind of a love-hate relationship, though.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that
I think it's with anything.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're
Please
right.
continue.
What I meant with that is you got both sides of the blade. You got the positive side. People are more open. People are more accepting. People are more willing to talk about it. On the flip side, you got a bunch of people going out there just for the thrill and then causing more problems than they're solving.
It's really the same thing in every industry. I mean, I've noticed that, yes, in both paranormal business, but also in comedy. I mean, when there's one guy who makes it, then every single other person is now compared to that person, or is now tries to be that person, or now tries to ride the coattails of what was done. I mean,
that's why I'm using the knock knock joke. I'm riding your coattails.
Right off.
That's how you know it's entertainment. I'm already copying it.
Well, good. I'm glad we've made a mark. But no, I mean, it happens, and you look at it and you go, yes, not everything is so sensationalized. However, if those people weren't seen, people wouldn't care. Nobody would care about it. If that comedian hadn't hit huge, maybe it's not my particular cup of tea, but he opened a lot of doors and people want to hear comedy again. So as long as you can find, I think, a way to, people have always wanted to laugh, people have always wanted to be scared. So as long as you can find a way to do that is original and is presenting what people want to see, but presenting in a new way. That's just what anybody's goal is. And that's really all we've ever tried to do is just be ourselves, be, Mark and Ben hanging out in the dark. And my wife has been going with us on our last few hunts, my sister-in-law Carly. And we kind of go and we're a bunch of people who like being around each other. We're a bunch of people who have relationships with each other. And so we have a connection between us that I think benefits what we do on
good
Absolutely.
energy helps.
Mm-hmm. And we've all had those experiences where we've had to look out for each other. We've had to step up. I mean, I trust Ben in our second episode that what happens at the end of that was legitimate. And if it weren't for getting yanked out and having people there that care about you, you can go too far. And like you're saying, there's people who don't do the research, they don't understand, they don't have an understanding of even what energy is. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to go see if I can piss something off.
I want to get scared.
Dark. I want to get scared. Well, you wouldn't just run into somebody's house and start yelling at them to scare you. You would never do that. You would think about that. If you have to think about them like people, if that's some place that somebody lives and you want them to respect you, then you would never just go in and just start going, this is my place, scare me. You would never do that to a person, so why would you do that to a person whose body is gone? You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
And that's so respectful and just another leg up, in my view of you.
Oh, thank you.
And how you approach, investigating and ghost hunting.
Yeah, and I know I say that term, but it's the one that everybody uses.
I
guess you could say ghost investigating, but then it just, to me, then I sound like a ghost detective. I don't know. I just use that as the thing that's most, I guess, respected in our lexicon.
So some people are Lord of the Rings people. Some people are Harry Potter people. And the same goes with ghost hunting. Are you a ghost hunters person or are you a ghost adventures person?
For me, I'm a ghost adventures person. I think they make good television. I like their methods. They make great television, and that's one of those things. When you really sit back and think about it, especially as an entertainer. I was an entertainer first, and you have to go, okay, as a comedian, you can be the funniest dude ever. But if you can't figure out a way to present it, if it's not well spoken, if you mumble, if it's not all calculated, even the most awkward comedian, Stephen Wright, every word that he comes out of his mouth is calculated down to the moment that he says it. It's brilliant to watch. I've worked with comedians. It's brilliant to watch, and you have to think about that presentation. And Zach and Aaron and Nick, those dudes get it. They're really good at what they do. And thank goodness that they do it, because people now are, because that's the thing. Every time you bring somebody up, who do they talk about?
Yeah.
Right?
And so King of the Mountains.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of have to go, okay, well, if that's what people are doing, then now what? Me and my wife went back recently and started watching old episodes of Chris Angel Mind Freak.
Yeah.
And what's so funny about it is you go, and at first you go, oh, come on, it's so over the top. And you go, hey, think about it. For years, everybody came out in a tux, and they were Siegfried and Roy, and there was and this guy said, you know what? I'm going to come out with long hair, and I'm going to be ripped, and I'm going to wear diamonds, and I'm going to do... And then everybody went, oh, let's do that. No, you can't do that. He did that. Yeah. And so, but all of a sudden, people knew about magic. And how many people were doing street magic after that? How many kids learned to do something cool because they saw a dude? And a bunch of kids might figure out another formula. And it's the same thing with Ghost Adventures. I started watching that show, and we watched every episode, and you watch it and you go, okay, that's cool. I like the results that they get. I would like to get those results, but I'd like to get them through being us.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really all you can do, and then you find the way to do it.
So we had the privilege of, we invited you out to our public investigation out at Camp Floyd, which for people listening was an old military camp / stagecoach inn here outside of Salt Lake City. What did you think? Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences? I understand maybe you did some filming there.
Yeah,
for your episodes.
We did. We had we got there a little late, so we were only able to do 2 of the locations, and the 2 we did, we started in the commissary and then moved over to the house, and the commissary was cool. I dug the commissary. Do you want to? Hi. This is Ben. Sorry, I've just been realizing,
Hi,
I
Ben.
looked over just a second ago, and I was like, Ben's been quiet. And then I was like, he doesn't have a mic. And I'm just going, and I'm like, do you want to talk about Floyd?
There we go.
You've been mic'd.
This is exciting.
I liked the commissary more than the house. I think we all kind of agreed on that.
I did too.
Yeah.
So is that a place that you would go back to?
I want to do the schoolhouse. We all talked about wanting to go back to the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
The commissary we had, we caught some really cool orbs that I was showing everyone when I dropped. This is from Camp Floyd, by the way. That was I tried to pull it out of my holder that I was holding, and
that is an iPhone. Yeah,
shattered my phone. And but we got some really cool orbs flying around, and they were all different colors. There was greens and blues and all these different ones that were coinciding with noise. We'd ask them to move, they'd move at us, they'd move away. So they were really responding. And then I saw one with my bare eyes that flew across the room. We had some cool spirit box stuff. But once we got over to the house, I think it was kind of tapped out. I think they were tired because everybody had been in there. And so I think it was, by the time we were leaving, I think we all kind of just thought we could have just curled up in there and taken a nap.
Yeah.
It was pretty mellow.
Yeah.
That tree was neat. That big old tree out back. That whole place was cool. It just had a cool vibe.
It's really interesting when they do their reenactments there. And so they pitch the tents, they wear the uniforms, they go through the motions. It's really interesting to see that put together. We got a comment in our chat room from Satan's Evil Twin. He had a side comment that he loves the story you tell about Michael J. Fox and find it cool that Michael Fox has his new show almost about his joke.
The story he tells about Michael J. Fox. Was that I did? I used to do an old Back to the Future joke.
Please enlighten us.
It was. I haven't done this joke for a few years, but it was about the fact that like Back to the Future was 25 years ago,
right?
And Marty goes 25 years in the future, and then but it's not the same. It's just we kind of got ripped off, and it was kind of that was the gist of the setup, and the punchline was kind of along the lines that. It's good that he went into an alternate future, because if he had gone into the regular future, it would have been, pretty depressing. It would have just, he came back and, Marty, I got to tell you about the future. And he'd go, well, what is it, Doc? I got to know what's going on. He'd go, well, it's terrible. Marty, there's wars in Syria and taxes are high and no one has health care and everything's falling apart, Marty. And Marty looked at me, what about my future? And he'd go, well, Marty, I'd say it's a little shaky. That was the joke. That was it. It was a stupid. It was the dumbest joke ever. And I stopped.
You said that was
I
it.
stopped doing it because I had a guy try to fight me one time on stage when I did that, and I felt bad because I'm sure that he had somebody who was affected by Parkinson's in his family, somebody he knew, and I'm sure that's why it bothered him. But at the same time, it was
it's
like
comedy.
I wasn't making fun of that, and if we start saying we can't make fun of that, then what can we make fun of? Well, car crash. Well, somebody else had that. Well, drinking. Well, somebody else had that. So now we can't say any jokes, you know.
Right.
So I felt bad that he got mad, and you know. But yeah, it was a dated joke. I haven't done it in a while.
Where did you get your start in comedy? Was it something you were just kind of born with, and was it something that you picked up? Like you saw a comedy show and you were like, man, that just blew me away. And
well, I've always loved comedians. I grew up. My dad had a lot of old Bill Cosby records. So
Yeah.
I would listen to
old Bill Cosby is
like
awesome.
To Russell, My Brother, and Wonderfulness, and he would tell these great stories, and you'd hear this amazing wordsmith, and it was crazy because here he is telling these stories about growing up black in Philadelphia, and I'm this white kid in West Jordan, Utah, who's relating to the humanity of it. I mean, I got it. It was cool. I used to listen to a radio show called Dr. Demento that was on K-Bear. Remember that show?
I listen to that all the time.
Demento! And he'd have those old songs, like Hello
Fish
Mudda,
Heads.
Hello Fada,
Yeah.
Fish Heads, and yeah. But every once in a while he'd play a bit, and that's the first time I ever heard Stephen Wright. It's the first time I heard a lot of those great Carson sets that they used to do, Dangerfield, guys like that.
Right.
And but it was over for me when I saw Eddie Murphy Delirious. When I saw
Absolutely.
that was the greatest performance by a stand-up. I mean, he
Still
owned.
is.
And it was, I mean, 40, I don't even know how many people were there. It looked like 1 million people. I mean, but he just owned. He was young, and it was such a cool thing. And I've always kind of liked being funny, but it wasn't until, because, I just thought, like anybody does, well, why would anybody want to see me? I'm
Right.
just a dude. I can make my friends laugh, but why would anybody want to see me? And so I was in a band for a while, and that kind of got me connections with radio. I started hanging out with guys like Mick and Alan, and they would go, hey, come in, do your voices for us. Do George Bush. Call in, be Peter Griffin. Call in, do these things. And I would come in and I'd do them, and I'd see the comedians from Wise Guys that would come in week after week, and they'd go, hey, you're funny, you should do it. And finally, a guy named John Moyer, great local comic. He said, come on down. Just meet Keith Stubbs. And I went down. I met Keith Stubbs. He goes, okay, you're fun, go. And I stood in his office. I had to do like 2 minutes of humor at him. And he goes, that's funny. Come back Sunday. I'll give you 3 minutes. And I came back Sunday, and he said I did well. He said, come back in the weekend. I'll give you some more time. And that's what it was. After that point, I just never left a comedy club.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, when you have good people, and that's one of the things that's so cool about Utah, is that, and maybe it's the way we grew up, maybe it's the way we are here, but there's a really cool unity to this. And when I see people kind of trying to divide maybe the comedy scene or divide the music scene, there's room for all of us.
That's because we're out in the middle of nowhere. We have no choice but
to
band
be
together.
Isolated and band together. But I mean, it's really cool, and this is one of the things that we were really hoping for. Ben and I were hoping that obviously fans of my comedy would watch this show, and they would see it, and they would, hopefully, they would like it. But we were really worried about what the paranormal community would think. Who's this guy stepping in? What's he doing? We found a lot of really cool stuff, and we put it out there because we felt it was important, and it's really rewarding when the paranormal community that's here and invested and has been rooted in this area looks at our stuff and goes, yeah, right on, cool. That's rewarding.
As a fan of paranormal entertainment, and when I say entertainment, TV, movies, and stuff, I do. I love that split, that sub story that and I want to see more of that. That split. That's what I really enjoy the most about what you guys are doing.
There's actually a bit more comedy in our next episode because we have the whole thing that we do. And there's actually some like little bits and side stuff that we actually, along with some really, really great stuff.
Because that's what you don't see in paranormal TV shows.
Right.
Is behind the scenes, not so behind the scenes.
Right.
It's always, we're here at this location, this is what we're doing. But, there's a whole nother side to all those people.
Yeah.
The Ghost Adventures crew.
Who they are, really.
Who they are. And
Right.
so it's really cool to see that finally coming through, and people get to see both sides, and it's not always that scary, there's a demon, there's a glowing pair of red eyes.
Right.
These are real people, and they're taking a real approach to it, a lighthearted approach at that.
That's cool.
So what else do you have coming up in the future that you can kind of share with us?
Well, we have a hunt that we're doing downtown Salt Lake that we did like a prelim on it, and we weren't able to get both of the locations, and we really needed to get both of them to do a full episode in it. So we're kind of trying. We're going to go back in. We're hoping to get both of those, and then we have. I don't know, we have some stuff that we just kind of have on the burners, and it's hard to take on too much just because we can't go out and shoot and dump this stuff to a post team.
Right.
We gotta shoot it, and then while it's fresh in our heads, go, okay, all right, we got to tell this story. Now we know this is important, this is important. This obviously was where we got out, so we have to find, okay, we got to build this. And so once we start approaching it, then like we say, we're not just reviewing footage, we're cutting, we're editing, we're structuring, we're writing voiceovers. How do we get from here to here? Okay, we got to do this. And so the process just takes time. So I'd say, God, how long did it take us to do the stuff that we've been doing? How long have we been doing this?
A couple months.
Yeah. Per episode probably, just because we have so much that we have to do. And it's me and him on my couch, like with some laptops making a show, and just hoping that people dig what we do, and we'd love for somebody to see it. I think this would be a really cool show that we'd have an ability to present some people with a new option,
Yeah.
and along with everything else. I love. If my show was on TV, I'd still watch all the other ones. You know what I mean?
Right.
I love
Yeah.
them. I can't get enough. I wish there was a ghost show on every night of the week. Every night. I wish there was. And you see them. They give like these cool episodes, like a couple, 6 episode run, and they pull it, and you go, no, it was good. Lead it, keep going.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? I know you're a kind of a technical type investigator. Spirit boxes, recorders,
Right.
Video cameras. How do you feel about psychics?
For me, the reason why we approach it the way we do is because our goal in ghost hopping is obviously to get things that people can see and hear. People can't, like you tell. Well, I think we've said it on camera. I can't show you that I am feeling something, but I am. But I don't want it to just be all that. I wanted to, for people to be able to hear and see the things. But I think that there is. I don't know. I like the word sensitive rather than psychic, because to me, psychic has always had that almost like science fiction feel to it.
Right.
Like, I am a psychic. I'm scanners, and I don't think that's the fault of the person who may or may not be psychic. I think that's the fault again of a word being sensationalized by media.
Right.
That's just then.
Psychic forgot to warn you.
Yeah. But I think that there are people, because I guess my approach to the energy is that's what it is that when something happens, it's not necessarily proof of a person, it's proof of an energy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess that when you start defining it, you're saying, well, now I know what this unexplained thing is. Well, no, it's an unexplained ball. I can tell you what it's not. It's not dust. It's not a reflection. It's not my camera. It's not somebody walking in front of it. But I'm not going to say this is the spirit of the guy who was in the room when the thing. That's
Right.
just not my way of doing things. I want to just kind of tell you what they're. I don't know. For me, I guess that people are sensitive to this energy. These things are balls of energy. That's what they're made up of. But there are some people who I think have a much more a heightened sensitivity to that thing. I know that I'm rambling.
No,
No,
you're-
But I
no,
feel
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain.
It's a lot to talk,
You can
yeah.
walk into a room and you can get a sense that there's something there.
You can
go,
feel the electricity.
"Ooh,
type.
there's something
Yeah.
in this room." I think there are other people who can get a more defined sense of that. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why. Maybe that they look like, I don't know, lighthouses in the dark for these spirits, and people travel towards it and peek in, and they can see, or there's an energy that's given. I don't know how it works. Again, that's why we go out and do this.
Right.
You know, I know what I think it is. I can tell you what my definition of it is, but it's very hard for me to say for sure what it is. You know,
How long have you been ghost hunting?
about a year and a half we've been doing this now. You know, I'd say.
And to this day, what is the most significant personal experience that has kind of kept you going? You know,
Us. That sounded good.
You know, I don't know. I think that we've had a lot of experiences, both really cool and really scary. We've had some that have been like the coolest conversation you could have with a group of friends, and some that were dangerous, I guess, almost to a point. But I would say that for me, like I saw all these devices on TV, and I just thought, well, I'll just buy one and I'll try it. So I got
see what happens.
Right. So I bought a spirit box. I found one. I thought, okay, I'll go try this. And I went to a graveyard, and I had a conversation with something. It's on my YouTube channel, my personal one. It was long
I
before.
think I've actually seen.
And
seen
I'm
that.
just standing there filming with my iPhone. It's not the most compelling footage, but you hear this thing answering me. I had to say a question. Yes. No. Yes. I say thank you. It says thank you back. And it was, to me, that was one of those moments where for a person who's not specifically religious, you know, I didn't.
You're like, holy shit, this is
This
real.
is something that is real. This is proof that when I die, I don't just stop existing. That it doesn't just fade to black. You're done. There's something that lives on. There's a piece of me. Is it my intelligence? What is it? And the funny thing is that when you really step back, and whether or not you're coming at it from a spiritual, religious, soul point of view, or if you're coming at it from an energy, universal, karmic, Eastern philosophy point of view, it's really the same thing. It's just
just worded different.
It's just the semantics of it.
So Ben, you're the co-star of this show, Ghost Hopping, I guess. What about you? How long have you been in this field?
The same.
The same.
Yeah, we just had a conversation one day and decided to go do it.
We had been talking about it. It was kind of an idea I had, and Ben was really the only guy. I don't know. We just sat down. I don't remember how. It was just like a serendipitous thing, and we started talking about it. And you're like, "That sounds cool," and we got into it together. And I mean, yeah, we really haven't. We haven't done it one apart, really. I mean, I've walked around some graveyards with my wife and stuff. We've been really fascinated with. We've taken our dog a couple places just to see, you know, and
If he would react or.
But I mean, all of the ghost hunts, all the filming. There's just a thing. I think what you were saying about how the show feels like it's just following. It's because, you know, Ben he was such a natural at being able to know what to shoot. There was something when we would be. There's pitch black. I've got no light. He's right there. We just knew what to do. If there was action, we knew where the shot was. It just really worked, and it was one of those things where we went, well, great, happy accidents, you know, and we've just, I think, gotten more in touch and better with understanding each other, and it's a real nice kind of thing to have, to be friends and business partners.
It's definitely good to have that kind of a relationship with your team. Now, Ben, you were telling me earlier about what you do for a profession. Are you okay to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually a private investigator.
So you got a private investigator that goes out and investigates spirits. That's kind of an interesting concept because you have a lot of training behind it, right?
Yeah, it's more of a view of believe nothing until you can prove it.
Right.
So.
But you're also trained on, you know, spotting certain things, noticing certain people's behaviors, you know, remembering everything about a picture that other people would probably forget.
I usually forget too.
Do you?
I have to take the picture.
That's why you have the camera. Okay.
So
That
you're a
explains
ghost
lot.
investigator.
Yeah, I'm a licensed ghost investigator.
A real one. Not one you get from the college.
They make licenses for those now, by the way.
Yeah, that's a class.
I really think it makes it different. I mean, there's an attention to detail. I mean, you know, and I like that. I like that we have kind of that yin and the yang. That I'm the, you know, the mouthpiece, and he's the guy that goes, "Nah, wait, we're grounded in this moment."
Yeah,
you know?
you can sit back and really look at it and go, "Okay, this is what I see," and this is.
He's great. I mean, we look at, you know, every time we shoot, I just look at the footage, and I know I always sit like he always sits on my left. And I know his shoulder gets sore because I'm always going, yes! Oh, it's good! We got it! Hitting him in the shoulder. just going, oh, it's so good! Yes!
One of these times he's going to put a metal plate right there.
Shock or something. But no, it's just been, I mean, it's like I said, it's a labor of love that we really enjoyed doing, and it's a family affair, and that's what I like about it, is that I get to do something I love with the people I love, you know, and that's a really cool thing. And you know, for the people that watch the show, we appreciate it because we're not produced. We're not on a network yet. We haven't had any offers or anything like that. We're hoping, you know, we're shopping. We've got some good stuff coming up.
I think you have a really good shot.
You know what? I would love it, but you know, we're believing that it will happen.
You're going to get your 6 episodes, and you know.
I would just love to be able to share what we do with people. I think that's really the thing. I think what we do is a different approach, and I think that we're very successful at it. I mean, I think that we've proven in the few episodes that we've done that these things do interact with us, and that we are able to present this evidence in a really cool, really new, exciting way. And I would love to be able to go to places all over. I would love for people to be able to say, "Oh, come ghost hop my town. I've got a little cafe." You know, that's what I envision the show being. Kind of like the no reservations and Insomniac meets diners, drive-ins, and dives, but of ghost hop. You know what I mean? Like, that would be so cool to just go to little towns and just find, like, that place that nobody else is going to go. They're not going to go to a little pizza joint. They're not going to go to the little, you know, this place here. They're not going to just hang out, you know, maybe in the old comedy club where they're at, or just down the street, a house, you know, somebody. Those are the places that we really like, you know.
Yeah. And you don't have to dissect, like, just the one location and dissect it for a whole hour, you know, bit by bit.
Well, and you know, there's that thing, is that, yes, there are moments where you can go to a location that has a history and go, okay, I know that these people lived here. If I get the name of that person, then that is proof that those people are here. However, there's also the idea that you go to a place where 100 people died, and you might just get somebody else that's just passing through. We don't know how it works. So to dedicate that much, you know, saying this is why this thing's here.
Right.
We're just saying, look, we went in here. These things talked to us. They were interested in us. We were interested in them. You might go there. There might be somebody else there. There might be, you know, no one there at that time. It's like a house. It could be anything.
Hit and miss every time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, sometimes you sit in the dark for a long time and nothing happens.
Well,
so
I love comedy. I do. I love comedy. I'm with you. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. You know, those are seated so deep in my brain and my subconscious. They made me a dirty little kid, you know, from jump.
I remember doing the Goonie Goo Goo story. I remember memorizing that. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I still use that today.
Came up to me, that's right. You know what they did? They came out of the water and said Goonie Goo Goo. I mean, it was amazing. Like I memorized that. It was amazing. And but yeah, I mean.
I love comedy. I love paranormal. I love seeing it paired up.
Cool.
You know, I want to see more. Absolutely. And for everybody who's tuning in, you can find Ghost Hopping, which is the name of your show, on YouTube.
YouTube.com/Ghost Hopping.
Yeah, you post about it on your Facebook a lot, you know, quite often. So you can find Marcus on Facebook.
Almost too much to a fault. It's just, I really want to get the word out, you know. I mean, I know that people who are on my Facebook and my Twitter probably go, we get it. Well, sure, but if y'all got it, then we'd have 4,000 views, not 400. So let's, you know what I mean? Like,
you get it, now get everybody else to get it.
That's kind of like the way. But I mean, we're
spread
really
the word.
You know, we're really proud of it.
And I will promote it.
Killer, that's awesome.
As much as I can, because I really do love it. I do. I love it. I want to see it in high definition, unlike the Bio channel, you know.
Hey, you know what?
So would we.
Well, honestly, I love it the way you guys are doing it because you have full control over it.
Yeah.
If you hand it over to somebody else, you're not going to have that control.
That was our idea. I mean, we thought we could go out and pitch an idea, or we could just make the idea. And it was a lot more time-consuming and hours on my couch and money that we out of our own pockets and things like that to do it that way. But every time we've done it, it's gotten easier to do, the process of it. And we've gotten better at it. And I think that if we can put out 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes of this on our own, hoping it doesn't get that far on our own. But if we get a few episodes under our belts, hopefully somebody will look at this and go, these guys can do this. They can shoot this. They can chop this. They know what they're doing. And that's really our goal, is to let people know this is two dudes with the help of some very talented graphic designer, a very talented talented composer, very talented editors. It's just it's nice to have this kind of tight-knit group of people making something that we're all very proud of.
And when you watch him, it's more you guys. It's not just you guys on the camera, but you can tell it's you guys from beginning to end,
It's personal, too. Our first episode is very lighthearted and fun, and then, there's a lot of jokes. Our second episode is very personal, and we kind of all sat down as a group and said, are we comfortable releasing this? Are we comfortable with all of us being seen in this light, being seen as our most stripped down versions of ourselves, and it's very real. It's all very real. But yeah, we just felt like it was important. So yes, you do get to see who we are and how we handle ourselves.
Can you cue up the intro to their show for when we break? Ben, Marcus's wife. We haven't heard
Danny,
from you.
I am so sorry. This is my wife.
She is here in studio.
Jerk.
I appreciate you talking with us and sharing with us so much. It's always good to hear somebody else's opinion, and see, another side to.
It's actually about a minute and a half in.
Oh, okay.
The intro. I figured that you didn't want there right about that. Look at this. We're queuing this up live on the air.
We are.
Go back just a little bit. There you go. That's just perfect.
But yeah, I just want to, tell you guys how much I appreciate it, and I hope that we can get together and investigate some more.
Yeah, awesome.
I actually have an idea I want to pitch to you guys when we're done. So,
yeah, we love it. And if, again, people out there, check this show out, Ghost Hopping. You're really going to like it. I know it. I just know it. I know entertainment, and I know it.
Well, we're flattered that you guys who have such an outstanding and trusted reputation in the paranormal community have even opened the door and invited us in, because like I said, we know what we're doing when it comes to comedy. We know what we're doing when it comes to this show. But the paranormal community embracing what we do and that just really means a lot. So we just want to say thank you to everybody in the paranormal community that watches, every one of them that follows us on Twitter, that has watched the show. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. We'll keep making it for you because we love doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll keep spreading it everywhere. So, awesome. No problem.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and hit the cue then.
All right. Well, are you going to continue?
It's up to these guys if they want to hang around.
All right. Well, as far as the Paranormal Entertainment Talk Show, thank you so much. This is Kevin signing off. Hey, Josh, Terry Lee.
She threw her hands up. That's a good. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break and cue up the intro.
You got it. Here it is.